got some new music, Jim. Kind of hippie-ish, right?
Yeah, we'll have to do better. I'm
Yeah,
gonna use my son's music next week.
yeah. That's a little
The
too hard rock
perennials.
for me. Anyway,
Yeah, but
it's Thursday, and you all know it's that means broker talk. So
yeehaw.
yeah, let's get the show started. So, broker talk here. What we want to do is we want to kind of entertain you, want to share with you what it's really like to be a real estate agent working in this business. It's complicated. Everybody's got a story. Every real estate agent I have ever met said you won't believe what just happened, and it's always unbelievable. So we've got Anderson Lawfer from Chicago. He's been doing rental residential places. What did you just say? 5 years or so?
I heard
6 years.
six.
6 years.
There you
Six
go,
years.
6.
But this is really like so many people in this business. This is really your second passion. Your first passion is your theater work. You're a director. You're a writer. You've got something happening in Boston coming up. What is that?
Yeah. Well, we're still shopping around to make sure Boston's the right city, but it's a show called The Mad Hatter's Gin and Tea Party, and it's an immersive experience where you get to go to Wonderland and drink gin with the Wonderland characters.
Well, there is
So
a
it's pretty popular
Wonderland.
in Chicago. Yeah.
There is a Wonderland here, and you're talking a theater production, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more instead of like straight up theater, like a proscenium stage and the audience sits apart. It's more interactive and everybody's kind of around one table together.
Like a
Count
blue.
me out.
So in the
Li-
COVID friendly version.
Yeah,
Yeah, count me out totally.
yeah. Like
Not
the
going to
blue.
any theaters.
Right, right.
I mean, you could do it
That's what we
outdoors,
hear
I
a whole
guess.
bunch. Yeah.
Do it outdoors.
Like the Renaissance
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah. There's a lot of protocols in place for the Chicago version. The actors are wearing face shields and gloves and masks, and the audience are all temperature checked and everything. But still, it seems risky. But people are coming and having a good time. So
So today's
what can you
show
do?
is, by the way, I didn't introduce my co-host for all these 107 shows, Jim. 107 shows.
Only 107. It seems like 1,000 at this point.
No, that's the moments that we've spent here. But yeah, Jim Lowenstern, broker owner of Castles Unlimited International, and
No,
former
it's now galactic.
Galactic. So does the Space Force, are they going to be helping you?
Yeah, well, we're looking out into the future. I mean, we're definitely going to be colonizing Mars at some point. So
Hmm.
I want to plant the Colonial Post sign there as soon as possible.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've certainly met some agents that seem like they're from Mars. Um,
There are definitely some space rangers for sure.
exactly. So I've got a couple of stories that I wanted to share. Just things like you wouldn't believe they happened unless you were there. I'll start off with one. Early in my career, selling a property, and the tenants who were in there wanted to buy it. So we started with them. We tried to get them pre approved. They had credit issues. They had no down payment. So it just wasn't going to work. So we went through those hoops for a little bit. But then, the seller wanted to sell, and the seller told the tenants that they could stay until it was sold. So they took that to heart. I had a good relationship with them, and when I called them to say I was bringing over another buyer to take a look at the house, she told me in no uncertain terms, "We're not leaving. We're not going out of the house." I said, "No problem. I don't want to put you out. This guy's going to be able to see it if he buys it. We have to abide by your contract. So you're in here till the end of your lease." So everything was good. So I arrive at the time. I knock on the door. She says, "Come in." I didn't have a key. I didn't want to take their key. And I walk in, and it's one of those places where when you walk in the front door, you're in the living room. There's no hallway, no vestibule or anything. There's no, anything. You're just in there.
No
And
foyer.
the two tenants who lived there were sitting there, both women. We're sitting there absolutely naked,
Oh,
nothing
I've heard
on.
this story.
Yeah, well, I know
This was
you've heard
on this was on the YouPorn channel.
that. They were watching soft porn. So I just didn't know what
There
to
you
do.
go.
So being a
I
real
told you I
estate
saw that one.
agent, I started to show the property. I said, "Come on, it's okay. We'll just go look at the toilet, I guess." But we went in, went out. That guy, by the way, did not buy it, but he did make an offer on the couch, which we couldn't sell him because it belonged to the
That would be
tenants.
the last thing I'd want to be interested in, based on that story. Stay away from the
I
sofa.
did ask them when they left. I liked them. That was pretty hilarious to me. I liked them, and they continued that until we had the right buyer. And I told all the buyers subsequently, I'm sorry, they're going to be in there. They're going to be naked. They want to stay. Their lease is up, and we just worked it out. But
But they moved, right?
they moved, yeah, but
Eventually.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
their lease was like they had 3 months or so left on the lease.
We had an unfunny version of that where the woman refused to leave and sued everyone.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
because the broker, she actually leased a property from the church. It was a parsonage, right? Where the pastor, I
I
guess,
love
lived.
them at on Thanksgiving. Parsonage,
And
little.
I don't know where that's going, but whatever.
Nowhere.
She literally she claimed she asked the broker, because the lease was for like a year and a half. Will they extend my lease? And he said, it depends, maybe. She
Uh-oh.
took it depends as may it depends maybe as to be quote unquote, I can live here for the rest of my life and never have to move, no matter what.
You promised.
I had a tenant recently who got an eviction notice because they just were not paying their rent at all. And there'd been noise complaints. The cops had continued coming to this address. All the neighbors were bitching about these people. And so before they moved out, they decided to trash the entire place
Of course.
with dog feces and rip the cabinet doors off the cabinets. And so I had to go in and tell the owner everything, which is like kind of the worst conversation you can have with an
man.
owner, because I
Man.
place the tenants too. So
Right.
Well, I'm wondering about that because I don't even know. Does insurance cover that?
I would think so.
yeah, I would think so too. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I mean, obviously, it's a criminal action, and you can certainly sue the people. Since they're broke, you apparently can't recover anything, and it's unlikely that they'll actually show up in court.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
activated.
Kind of a waste of time.
Yeah, I kind of
That-
sold it as all this stuff needed to be changed anyway. The carpet, the paint,
I've got some
the
good news
appliances.
for you. You know how you were going to gut that place? It's been done already.
The time is here, baby.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just bring in that dumpster. It's all set.
I have a friend who walked into a house, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Andy, how did you know it was dog shit and it wasn't like human shit?
DNA.
No, that's a great question. I guess I was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hoping
There was,
it was dog shit.
in any event, he went into this house. It was an auction, and somebody had taken a whole bunch of somebody was squatting in there and defecating in there. And he turned to the client. I was with him. I heard this. He turned to the client, and as soon as the client saw it, horrified, said, "Oh, this is great." And she said, "How is this great?" She said, "Nobody else is going to want it, and we can get rid of it with a broom." So it's like, real estate. It's everything is a speed bump. You have to get used to uncomfortable conversations.
I was in the business for over 30 years before I sold my first crack house. Well, actually, I didn't sell it. The buyer had already purchased it and proudly invited me over to take a look. He said, the door's open. When you get there, you can just go in. What he didn't tell me is what to expect, which was like gallon jugs of urine everywhere, flies, and a homeless guy that would pop out from behind the wall that scared me
Like a
half to
Jack in
death.
the Box. Like,
And when you know, he just sort of like took one step out into the
Mhm.
hallway where I could see him, but at a distance of 6 or 7 feet, I wasn't expecting him. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I wouldn't say that I ran out of the house, but I went up, and he said, I'm Henry." And it's like,
Y-
okay, great.
Yes, you are.
hey,
Proceed, Henry. And when I got outside, the buyer was there. So he was going to gut it. We actually sold 3 condos there. But I said, "There's a guy in the house. Like, you got homeless people living there." He said, "No, no, 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 that's Henry. He's cleaning up." And I'm looking at him like, cleaning up? How would you clean this place up? I mean, seriously.
He was getting paid $25 an hour. He was cleaning up.
But at the same time, those units, I can't tell you how much activity. I sold them before they were finished.
And
that brings up an interesting thing about talking to having that conversation with the owners about how to maximize value of their places they're renting out. I work for a property management company, so I go through them for most stuff, and they have people at our office that just specifically talk to owners. But my private owners that I do talk to, sometimes, when you run a CMA or something and you try to, everybody knows, who's listening probably knows what a CMA is, I'm
Well,
sure.
let's explain competitive market analysis.
we have a lot of
That's right.
idiots who listen to our show.
Yeah, so a comparative market analysis, just to see what everything in the neighborhood's doing. It's about the same size, same size, same shape, that kind of thing. So, you talk to private landlords sometimes. I have a couple private landlords who I talk to who just will not, they refuse to make changes to their places, and I say, listen, you're going to get $1,200 for this place the way that it is. And if you just took $5,000 and you replace the countertop, or you put in a washer dryer, or you fix the ugly, terrible, broken refrigerator, we'd be able to get more. And a lot of times they're willing to listen to reason and make those changes, and sometimes they aren't. Sometimes I have to be like, well, I'm sorry, I can't rent out your place then, because I can't, in my own morality, I can't put people into this terrible apartment.
And,
Yeah.
and, and a lot of people that own real estate don't know how to maintain it, but they don't know how to maintain it because they don't understand what they own.
Yeah.
They
That's
don't
right.
understand that they have the ability through certain lending institutions to get a line of credit, to borrow at a ridiculously low interest rate, that the money that they put into it is borrowed money, and they're making money on somebody else's money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I try to figure out first when I take on a private landlord is like, are we talking about cash flow, or are we talking about value added, And if somebody's just interested in cash flow, they're not going to be a very good landlord,
No.
you know?
Well, the other thing is you're going to have the kind of tenant that you just described who's not going to pay, who's going to trash the place. It's going to cost you more money than if you have a nice place. You have a choice of quality tenants, good credit scores. They're going to maintain the place. They're going to have an interest in keeping it up.
Right.
Less aggravation, less wear and tear.
So let's
Yeah.
boil that down a little bit. Let's talk about what the best practices are. If you're an investor and you own property, take care of your property like it's your own. Your tenants will be better. You'll be taking care of things before they break, so you're not in crisis management. You're not getting calls in the middle of the night because something happened. Um, anyway,
Yeah. And,
go ahead.
I totally agree. And then, owners, once they've been in the business a little bit, kind of develop their own qualifications for what a person should have when they move in. I have some private landlords that are like, anything under 650 credit, I won't even look at.
Yeah.
If it's 649, I will not touch it. I will not look at it at all. So
Yeah.
make sure everybody knows. I have some people that are like, if they don't have a felony and they don't have, outstanding crazy utility bills, then I'll rent to them. And some people just want to have Section 8
Raise the
compliance.
utility bills. You have landlords that check their current utility bills.
Yeah, they get on our credit reports, it'll show
They want to make
outstanding.
sure that they're not cultivating herb or something. What are we talking about?
No, they just want to make sure that they don't have an outstanding electricity bill from
Oh,
2 years ago.
that they're paying the
That they're
balance.
paying. Yes.
They don't care if they're cultivating herb.
It's
No,
legal
not in
here.
Chicago. Come on,
under-
baby.
It's legal
under-
here. It's
under
legal
green
here.
lights. Yeah, here
That's
it's
right.
fine.
Yeah.
So I
so
have
that-
a little story that sort of ties into this. I had a house in Coolidge Corner, Brookline. Very nice neighborhood. Even back when I sold it, it was a very nice neighborhood. And the place was a big Victorian, hadn't been worked on. There were probably unrelated people living in the house. And when I was given the listing, it was sort of like, do I get a key? And they said, nah, the door is always open. Okay. And I went through the house and I came to a door and it didn't open. And actually it had a lock on the outside, like a padlock on the outside of the door. It wasn't even like you'd have a lock, the key set lock. It was a padlock, but there was a hole in the bottom of the door. So the owner literally just said, "Well, if they're not here, just stick. Your buyers can stick their head through the hole in the door and look into the room." and sure enough, I only showed it like twice, and the buyer had to stick their head through the hole in the door to take a look at the room. And I think it went for full price, like almost immediately. That's how great.
Hey, secret room.
Yeah. A bonus room.
And I
Bonus room.
should also tie this story in. I had a family once with like 3 or 4 children, and they had the same setup with the padlock, or at least something that they could lock on the out. They literally locked their kids in the room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could only let them out from the hall.
Yeah.
And I remember showing that house once on a very warm day, no air conditioning. And it was like probably dinner time. And we stepped into the room and it was dark, but just enough light so that we could see the naked teenage boy jumping out of the bed, surprised. Full disclosure in front of the buyers.
Oh my God.
Oops. Hey,
They didn't buy the house.
They didn't buy the house.
They did not buy it.
Hey, we're going to come back and tell some more stories, but right at the moment, we're going to pay some of the bills. Hey, what are you thinking? Savage Wiener today?
Sure, let's go for a hot dog.
Okay, so
It's Super Bowl
we'll be back.
Sunday.
We'll be back in 60 seconds.
Smells so good.
We're launching
And
a
we're
new
back.
SKU. Oh, back.
And we're back. It was so. I'm sorry. We had Donald Trump stop by during the break. He just couldn't stay. He's got a lot on his plate right now. But we're here telling stories about real estate. I had a seller. Liked him very much. Older guy. He was a bookie. He was a legitimate bookie. And he had a beautiful home on a lake in Wellesley. He had bought this place. It was a summer shack, You know, people that live along around ponds and lakes, they're lake people. You know, they're a special breed, and but anyway, John was an awesome guy. He traveled all over the world. As I said, he was a bookie. He worked at one time. He showed me the scar he had because Whitey Bulger shot at him. But you know, yeah, here's the scar. So he was an old guy, so he had a lot of tchotchkes in there, traveled all over, and he had, you know, things from the World's Fair in 1932, wherever that was, stuff like that. And we were going to declutter the place. So I had the stager, and she was up on the counter in the kitchen, and she was looking across because he had these built-in shelves, and he had a whole bunch of like bowling trophies or something in the above. And she was looking at it, and as she did, she lost her balance a little bit, and she pressed back against the wall where he had these ornamental copper pots sitting up on the wall. And when she hit it, you know, it kind of tilted a little bit, and out dropped $100,000 into the sink. It was deathly quiet for a couple of seconds. She got down and she was out of that place. And I turned to John and I said, John, do you have any more cash stashed here? He said, I'm not worried about it. I said, I'm worried about it. If I do an open house and you come back and it's not there, and I don't know about it, I can't protect you. Move that cash.
He was probably printing it. It was probably all counterfeit. He didn't care.
It was real money. He did have on this property a couple of little stone like crosses on there, and I said, John, what are these in the yard? They were right under a tree. I said,
debtors.
Is this
people who didn't pay up?
Right, and that's what I implied. And he looked at me dead in the face and said, "I would never bury them on my property."
Yeah, right. Of course not.
We got a good price for that
They're buried
house.
on the next door neighbor's property.
Right.
But here's the thing: he did all of these changes in his house because the mayor at that time and the building department and all these people were his buddies. You know, they ran numbers with him, they played poker with him. They just let him do whatever he wanted. But when we sold it, and the next person came in, that's when the new building department came back and said, "Oh, you know, this and that," and they had to give up some land, they had to pay. You know, it's just kind of a this is not a business for people that can't understand. Like, things are messy sometimes.
You got to expect the unexpected. Expect the worst, and you will never be
disappointed.
Surprised. And well, you may be disappointed, but you're not going to be surprised because you already figured it was going to happen. I'm always expecting the worst, and when it doesn't happen, it's like, wow, that's awesome.
You know, sometimes you get into a habit though where everything's going your way, and then the first time something messes up, and you're like, oh, I forgot all about everything gets messed up. You know, I'm going through this.
The Grateful Dead said it best. When life looks like easy street, there is danger at your door.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I tell people. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I was just going to say that I'm going through the situation right now that I got resolved this morning. But a couple of my buddies are moving from Rhode Island to Chicago, and they want to live in a high rise on the lake, you know. So these high rises, they all have different rules and regulations and homeowners associations and management companies. And very often, more often than not, the agents have no fucking idea about any of these things. Yeah. They've just been hired by the owner to rent out their place, you know? And so you get the rules and regulations sent, but then they forget to get you the move-in fee sheets and the key transfer sheets and the, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I've spent the past 72 hours trying to get a hold of an agent, an owner, my clients, and the management company, and try to figure out how to get these people moved in 8 days from now, because it's an 8-day notice that you have to give. And it's just
8 days a week.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Condos, to me, condo boards, the people who are in condo boards, not professional management, but the people that they have, 4 units in their building, and they've got a condo board, and these people would never have been ever chosen for a team, elected for a team, appointed, run and actually won. These are the
You know what
people.
a you know what a cucaracha is?
Yeah, it's a cockroach.
Lower than cucarachas,
Yeah.
and they generally have nothing else in their life, and this is their little bit of power.
A
Yeah.
little control. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of control.
Yeah. So if you're out there buying a condo, pay attention to that board. Talk to somebody there, because condo boards are kind of nuts, and you're in business with them. Once you own it, you're in business with them.
Yeah, read those
But
bylaws.
a lot of good things about it is, if you have such a voice to make a change to it too. If you live in a small building,
Yeah.
and you have enough reserves, you can your voice, your singular voice could change the entire conversation. You want
Not
to put
to
a
my
deck on the
experience.
roof, or you want to put.
Not
Oh
from my
no,
experience. Mm-mm-mm. I've had horrific condo board experiences. I've been sued by a condo board for growing tomatoes. I was sued for a condo board going in the exit. And as soon as I moved in, they changed the rules from you can barbecue on your balcony to you can't barbecue on your balcony, all because of me barbecuing on my balcony, of course, which was one of the reasons I said, "Oh, I'll buy this unit." Uh, and my current situation with I'm trying to change out the air conditioner to a more modern, um, what do they call them?
Efficient.
What are they called? Ductless? Is that
Yeah.
what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, they won't let me do it. They said it affects the aesthetic of the building. So the aesthetic of the building is old air conditioners going through a wall. That's the aesthetic you're looking for?
that's what they like. They love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's not modernize.
It sounds like you're making friends wherever you go, Jim.
Yeah.
Well,
Geez.
it has nothing to do with, well, the going in the exit and
The
actually
throwing
the
the
tomato
tomatoes. There's more there.
no, growing the tomatoes actually was
Oh,
the story.
growing. I thought you were
Growing
like
tomatoes.
throwing them.
No,
Throwing
no,
tomatoes.
no, I was literally very young. I was probably 22. It was the first place I ever bought. And I thought, wow, I got a little tiny piece of land. The back of the place was where the parking lot was, so there was really no place to grow anything. But the front had a little piece of dirt. I go, okay, I'm going to grow some tomatoes. Uh, I have a green thumb. Uh, I get a cease and desist, and I just ignore it, And they say, for every day that you don't take it out, it's a $10 fine.
For
And
growing
after a week or
tomatoes.
two, they're sending me a bill for 150 bucks. And when I tried to sell the place, which I did, I couldn't close unless I paid the fine. And it wasn't a lot of money, but for me back then, it was real money. So
Did you try passing out the tomatoes to everybody?
I no, it never got to that point. It never got to tomatoes. It was just a green plant, and they said, "Oh, that's a tomato plant," because it said you weren't allowed to grow vegetables in the front of the unit. The back of the unit, if you had a little dirt, that would have been fine. And I took them to small claims court for the 150 bucks, and I brought the dictionary with me. And my case was it clearly does say vegetables, and I understand that, Your Honor. However, tomatoes, and this is
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit. It did
A
not.
technicality. See,
did not go
hire an
over.
agent.
It did not go over. I did not win that case.
Oh, you lost. Oh, well, then
I
that's.
did.
But
that
I gotta
story
say,
sucks.
the balls on 22-year-old Jim. That's fantastic. That's great.
Well, it's one of the learning experiences.
I fought
I
the
believe
man,
nothing.
and the
I
man
truly
won.
believe nothing gets accomplished in court. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing good, except lawyers make money. That's it. If you're a lawyer, it's a payday. But for everyone else, no one wins. Even if you win, all the money went to the lawyer anyway. That's so. If you win, you still get nothing.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone has really learned anything by the half an hour we've just wasted
Well,
here. But
we learned that tomatoes are a fruit.
no, we also
But
learned.
Yeah.
Well, Ronald Reagan knew that. I mean, it was part of a balanced diet was ketchup, because that was before you were born, Andy.
Yeah.
But anyway, broker talk.
I want to talk about what's in the back of Andy. What is that thing? Is that like a Santa gnome or something? What do you got there?
That's a Santa gnome. That's
It
right.
is.
Santa. All the Christmas stuff is still up down here. Like
It's
I said, I'm at Grandma's house, so we have all the fa la la pillows. You know, we got a
Never saw-
Santa gnome, a
never
Christmas
saw a
quilt.
Santa gnome.
It's grandma immersive.
That's it, baby.
So the one pillow says la, and the other one says fa, and another one says la.
You better believe it.
Fa la la.
Christmas time.
That so Jim, that's a Christian holiday, the fa la la one.
What are you outing me on the show?
No, hey,
Now everyone knows that I practice Islam. What's the deal?
I thought you were yoga.
I'm actually a Buddhist.
yogi. or something.
I'm actually a Buddhist.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're at your mother's house or Nikki's grandmother?
Nikki's mother's house.
Nikki's mother's house, but Nikki is Jewish, right?
She is, yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. This is a Jewish household, but we
Come
all
on, guys.
are.
Come on, guys. No. Let's go right to the. Do we have another ad to run? Let's run another ad.
He's his own HR department. Hey, we're on cable here.
Yeah. That's,
Anyway, we have squandered a great deal of time and enjoyed it the whole time. Thank you for joining us here. We'll get some music and play us out. Want to sing along? And come on, you know it. All the boys.
It's broker talk. It's broker talk. Broker talk. It's broker talk.
There we go. This only goes on for about 45 minutes. So,
Broker talk.
but
Broker talk. Broker talk. Broker talk.
thank you so much. We're leaving the show right now. Join in next week when we'll have a show as well.